Let's move on now to the poverty elimination issue. In southwest China, extreme poverty weighed heavy on people living in areas around the Nujiang River in Yunnan province. But now villagers there are making better living thanks to tourists visiting their hometown. Recently, I got up close in the home of a family there to find out what's been done to change the dire conditions and how the locals are working their best in order to change their fate. Take a look. The Nujiang River runs through one of the most beautiful stretches of scenery in southwest China's Yunnan province. Lofty mountains, virgin forests, and river rapids. Despite its rich natural resources, the place has been suffering from extreme poverty throughout history. But at the end of last year, its 550,000 residents finally bid farewell to extreme poverty. How it has managed to do it? Many here in China and around the world have been asking that question. Just like those at the International Forum on Poverty Governance and Development towards Modernization.
Very interesting to hear how China has done it in a very multidimensional way.
What is this multidimensional way?
Through access to social security, to education, to e-commerce platforms, as I mentioned, for farmers to have better knowledge and access to the markets, and it's very impressive.
China is also leveraging in establishing some of the infrastructure, agribusiness, economy kind of thing, and also a Belt and Road Initiative, which we are also focusing to assist us to eradicate poverty.
It is important to also take care of the environment,
Indeed.
have the ecological protection in place, and especially
the
also,
culture too.
yes, respect the culture and the people from that specific locality.
I also asked that question to Mr. Guo Weimin, the organizer of the forum.
We must consolidate the progress we've made with poverty alleviation and transform the New River region into a more prosperous place, where all ethnicities unite together, where distinct cultures are protected and ecology is preserved.
Those theories are not abstract if one makes a trip to the home of Zhonghua and Siniu. They are farmers from a small village less than 1 hour drive from where the forum is being held. Like many other families, they were extremely poor. One could tell by taking a look at their old house. Now with the combination of farming, herding, cooking for tourists, and being tour guide for photographers who are fascinated by their hometown's flora and fauna, their lives have been improving. They also received in recent years a handsome sum of money from the local government to help poverty-stricken families. With that, they built a new home. The old and the new, though a few hundred meters apart from one another, embody a totally transformed family life. Ending extreme poverty is a historic achievement, but how to continuously improve people's lives? That is going to be a gigantic topic in front of all of us. Tianwei, Nujiang Prefecture, Yunnan Province. That report was made during my earlier trip to southwest China's Yunnan Province near the ancient Tea Road. You're watching World Insight, still to come. 70 years of Tibet, the history and milestones spelled out in the white paper made public on Friday. A look at the facts and the bigger picture coming right up. This is World Insight. I'm Tian Wei. 2021 marks the 70th anniversary of the peaceful liberation of Tibet, and China issued a white paper on Friday to look back at the autonomous region's history, transformation, and achievements over the past 7 decades. The paper lays down the governance of Tibet in the new era, which will include the 4 top missions: ensuring stability, facilitating development, protecting the environment, and strengthening the frontiers. The white paper also aims to set the record straight on claims made by a number of Western countries by providing the international community with a balanced account, the bigger picture, so to speak, of Tibet today. on the latest situation and analysis from a Chinese expert, Rong Ying, Vice President of the CIIS, China Institute of International Studies. Mr. Rong, good to see you. I know you made several trips to Tibet over the past years. 2009 and 2010, if I remember right, that we were talking to one another. So tell me more about what you saw there. What did you see as interesting to an analyst like you?
Well, for Chinese, scholars like myself, who are mostly devoted my career for international politics and relations, a trip to Tibet is something very special. And of course, I think in my previous trip to Tibet, I learned a lot. And then also, I think, impressed so much by the achievements and the progress that has been made in the past 7 decades. But more importantly, I will feel shocked and surprised by the misunderstanding of this international community. When I talk with them, talk about China's development, I think most of them, I have to say, they are very impressed. But when we talk about the development progress in Tibet, they raise some questions, say some issues, which I think for me is very difficult, unless they see their own eyes. So I only, my only sort of argument, if I can say that, the seeing is believing. I hope that, yeah.
Now it's difficult because of the pandemic. People could hardly travel, not to mention from outside into Tibet. But it's important that we set the record straight. So let's take a look at the numbers. Tibet has come a long way. Some of Tibet's achievements 70 years after its liberation. Take a look.
Statistics show that in the past decades, Tibet's GDP grew by 1,090 times to 190 billion RMB in 2020. With the average per capita income of a year-on-year increase of 10%. Another significant indicator is the average life expectancy, which doubled from 35.5 years to 71.1 years in 2019.
All right, those are some of the numbers, even though a bit abstract, but it certainly shows how Tibet has been developing. Its economy, GDP-wise, has been growing more than 1,000 times if you compare 70 years ago and now. But let's just make it more concrete, the issues. For example, what about the sustainable development of Tibet, particularly the cultural heritage and also the ecological protection? We know this is one of the most sacred and beautiful places in the world. So Dr. Rong Ying, tell me more about that. How did you see that is being done right now?
Indeed, this is a very good question, and also I think a very good perspective for whoever who is interested in Tibet, the development, the culture, and the environment. That is a comparative study, and also they have to take into account the speciality, the special national conditions, natural conditions, in Tibet. So I think the trip I did in 2009, I think that I very much impressed. I said, loved the environment. But in the meantime, I would, from time to time, when I talk with the interlocutors, colleagues, others, they also complained, if I can say, about the need for development, because the constraints of energy and others. So they are facing a similar sort of problem or dilemma, like any other places in China and others, how to strike a balance, the need for development, the better life, and also the need to ensure the protection environment. And of course, I think we're talking about Tibet and also the protection, the preservation of culture. So looking back, I think if you look at the past 70 years, 7 decades, so far, I would say that it's fair to say
so you're saying
the white paper has given a very good picture of how we achieve that kind of a balance.
So you're saying that what the challenges for Tibet right now, particularly on those two fronts, culture and ecological protection, is not unique to Tibet, but rather a question facing all over China, even though they are under different circumstances. I guess that's what you meant. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
All right.
I mean, I would like to make. But that point is even more salient or important for Tibet, because Tibet is so special. It's the need for development is so acute, and the need for protection and preservation is again so acute. So how to achieve that? To achieve that is a miracle. And I think so far, the past 70 years, and the white paper made it very clear that that miracle has been more or less created.
All right. I guess it's not fair to ask you on very specific issues on those two fronts because you're an analyst of international relations. But so let me just ask you one final question before we go. Facing what you consider as misunderstanding about the realities of Tibet from some of the others that you mentioned earlier, what do you think are the reasons for that? And if there were a way, what would that be? Dr. Rong.
Yeah, that's again a very good question. The reason for the misunderstanding or even misunderstanding of that or misinterpretation of what is happening in Tibet is a kind of predisposed sort of or assumption that Tibet is so special and Tibet is somewhere that does not need development, or Tibet, the conservation or preservation of Tibet, the environment, ecological system, and culture should be done or cannot be done without sacrifice of the development. That is something I think quite common point, problem facing the misunderstanding. But having said that, there are other extremes which I think beyond a normal debate like that, because simply they thought that what is happening in Tibet, the achievements, progress, and the challenges of balancing this problem is something that they just lose sight and totally ignore that without no intention or no interest at all to learn about the history, the conditions, and the need for development of the residents.
In other words,
and this is
will geopolitics and politics shield our eyes from access to understanding better about what exactly is going on, whether it's in Tibet or elsewhere in the world? That is an important question you just raised. Dr. Rong Ying, thank you so much for your input. And that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, search World Insight. Check out our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. On behalf of the team, thanks for watching. Bye for now, and have a wonderful weekend.